Hello everyone and welcome into the Disc Golf Preview Show presented by Disc Dynasty. I'm your host for this week, Hunter Thomas, joined by Trevor Staub. Typically we have Nico in the middle. He's recovering from a
got hit by a bus.
He got hit by a bug. Sickness bug, and he's not here with us today, unfortunately, but I have his notes, and I'm going to do my best Nico
Hunter wanted the spotlight so bad he would do anything for it.
That is not the case. But this week we have the Waco Annual Charity Open, which is actually just called Waco this year.
Get it right.
I would assume it still stands for Waco Annual Charity Open, but regardless, it's in Waco, Texas at the Brazos East Park, also known as the Beast. There's a lot of courses.
Wait, do they call themselves the Beast as well?
Mm-hmm. Brazos
we need like a
Beast.
Okay, well,
that one makes sense.
At least there's, okay.
But we do need a regulation on like too many courses.
I think we've talked about it before, I think there should be an application process. If you want to submit your course's application to be called the Beast as a nickname, you have to go through us.
Yes, you must submit it to us. We will play your course and verify.
Yeah, Mr. Beast.
Virtually on Disc Golf Valley.
We are Mr. and Mr.
Now, if you remember last year, this event, we had Paul Macbeth taking it down by 3 strokes. He was 23 under par over Luke Humphreys, who came in at 20 under par. And then we had Chris Clemens and Joel Freeman all knotted up right below them at 17 under par. So pretty tight down the stretch down on MPO side, but it was even tighter on FPO side, where we had Valerie Mandujano knocking off Kristen Tatar. If you remember that birdie on hole 17, the iconic flip-up shot, I believe it was with an escape. That doesn't really matter, but you can probably pick them up at foundationdisc.com, maybe a Vandal. But anyway, she threw a 6 shot into that par 4 over the water a little bit on hole 17 that cemented her first win of the Pro Tour season, and you had Katrina Allen coming in 3rd. So Val, Kristen, Kat, that was a pretty good preview for FPO last year.
Yeah.
Those 3, and obviously Mixed Pageant. But those 3 kind of were always fighting around up top. MPO-wise, Paul taking it down makes sense. Luke Humphreys and Chris Clemens, Joel Freeman. Those names kind of were all over the place on the leaderboard throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Let's get into the course itself, though. Let's look at Brazos Park East here. Every year, it seems they make a few changes. This year, looking at just the caddy book, not really seeing any, but we did talk to Brody. He mentioned a few small minor changes. For instance, hole 1, they flip back and forth on this. The wall is again the OB line. So discs on hole 1, which is at par 3 over the wooded area, can hit, roll down, and they'll be in bounds. Previous years, sometimes they pulled the OB line off that. It seems like they've now elevated the basket on hole 2, which is a short par 4. They've added a few trees, which I think is fascinating. The Parks and Rec department actually planted trees on several holes, one of them being hole 3. Brody seemed to think that it affects hole 3 more so than some of the later holes. His quote was something like, I think it was like hole 15, 16, somewhere in that stretch. He said something about like, those trees will cause problems 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So more so, hole 3, there's going to be some interesting things. It seems like there's also a few trees that have been removed by storms that might cause some holes to play a little bit easier. So a few changes make the course a little tougher, a few changes make the course a little easier, probably going to play about the same.
Yeah.
As a refresher, this stretch down the last 2 holes especially are electric finishing holes.
Very true.
Hole 17 is the harder of the 2. It's a 610-foot par 4 for MPO, 530 feet for FPO. You basically have a landing zone that you're trying to throw straight to, and then you have to attack the water a little bit on your second shot.
Yeah.
A lot of people go forehand, some people go turnover backhand, but tricky shots. Lots of OB coming into play. And then hole 18 is a 468-foot MPO and FPO hole. Par 4, though, for FPO. Par 3 for MPO. Years back, it was a par 4 for MPO.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to attack the pin, got to go over the water. There is a layup option to the left. But 17 and 18 always make for an electric finish down the stretch.
Yeah.
It's never over till it's over.
Well, in 18, I remember last year, like, there were times, I think in both divisions, where, like, if you go in that water and you got to throw, I don't know if it was a drop zone or if they just had to throw from where they crossed. In either case, though, there was approaches that were happening from the other side of the water still, or you'd have, like, FPO laying up and still having to approach over the water. And that approach is very tricky. That hole can add up, or you can just, you know, carry it and to it. In the MPO in particular, like, a lot of times you'll just see them, you know, it depends on the wind a lot, because a lot of times the wind, when the wind comes off of that water and it's like a strong headwind, that hole gets very difficult very quickly. That definitely makes it tricky. But 17 is probably the real star. Takes 2 really good shots to make that hole work. That's why Val's finished. I mean, it was a 3-shot swing. She took a 3 and Kristen took a 6 on that hole to really make it look a lot not as close on the scoreboard as it really was last year. But that hole is very signature, having to throw 2 really good shots, get into position, because you almost have to be in good position to attack that.
Oh, pin. Definitely.
Yeah. So I've always liked the Waco course. I know there's some rumor mill about it maybe not always being the Waco course, but I think that it stands out to me a little bit because like it starts off and you're kind of like traditional park style, but then there's some holes that are very recognizable. You got pretty early in the round, I don't know if it's hole 3 or the one where it's a par 4 around the corner where you go like in the ditch and out right at the end. You have that par 4, and then obviously 17 and 18, the par 4 that has like the fenced off area that you can try and carry an eagle. Like there are memorable holes and some like pretty original holes. You've got the par 5 that like dog legs left and then snakes through the woods the whole time. So I feel like there's good variety at that course. It doesn't get stale in coverage. You see a lot of different shots being thrown. So I've always enjoyed it. I enjoy this tournament. It does cause chaos. You mentioned that leaderboard for MPO last year, very chaotic. And a lot of that's going to depend on the weather. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the course.
Yeah, I think 17 and 18, obviously the most iconic holes as you come down the stretch in general. There are some holes that are very memorable, but for me personally, the course itself is kind of forgettable. I think I always remember how the holes play. I always remember how the course lays out. Like I know the first few holes are in the open. The open holes are very memorable, but that middle wooded stretch gets very blurry for me. It's like the hole you just talked about, I think you're talking about hole 4. You kind of have like a tunnel shot of the woods and like a little forehand approach shot. The basket's kind of on the edge of the water. I've played this course a few times and I still kind of struggle. Like once I get past that, I remember holes, but I forget where they go. I think the thing that really sets Waco apart that makes it very unique is that wooded stretch. There almost is no scrambling. Like if you get off the fairways, courses around here have like big trees and stuff off the fairways, and you get off the fairway, you can at least like see some tight lines. You can Waco, a lot of times it's like you might have an overhand line up over the underbrush, but most of the time it's like a sideways pitch out,
right?
Which I think makes this course a little more unique to the tour, because like the open stuff, yeah, there's OB, but a lot of the open holes are like attack, 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 attack.
Right.
And in the wooded holes, it's like attack, but if you mess up, you better play for par, or else you can really rack up some bad scores in there.
You see at Waco, you see a lot of over the top to get out of the woods. You see a lot of just straight pitch outs, and you see a lot of like forehand rollers.
Yeah.
You do not see a lot of situations where guys get into the woods and are just throwing a little flex forehand to get out of it. Like it is jail in there. And the fairways can be very tiny. The ceilings can be low. I don't know. I think it just provides interesting golf. I think there's potential for a lot of swings, especially in those grouping of holes. So I enjoy it.
Now, you briefly mentioned there's rumors online about this not always being the Waco course.
Yeah.
Those rumors are from the tournament themselves. So essentially what's going on is they have a golf course that's being used for the AM side, and I believe the age protected side, called Lake Waco, I believe, for this year's event. It's designed, and from what they're saying, is like it's a championship level layout with the hopes of future moving Waco here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this continued development that seems to be happening more and more in disc golf, where like things are starting to move a little bit more towards golf course direction over the past few years, and an event like this that right now is very iconic, very tied to the course? What are your thoughts on the potential of moving it to a golf course?
Yeah, I think if you're the tournament director's perspective, the tour's perspective, you get these events to a certain, once you get an event on the tour, right, you are no longer, like, you know the players are going to be there. So you're no longer worried about that. What's the next step to making this event better? It is facilitating the things that happen other than the play. You go to USDGC, there's a vending village, food trucks, the whole nine. So now, once you get to that point where you have your event on tour, you want to think about, how do I make this event greater than just what's happening on the course, more of an experience. And golf course properties that are just more open are allowing for that better. They better accommodate a gallery. I mean, some of these holes at Waco in the woods, I mean, you're filing in behind, but there's just nothing. You're going to have more room for vending. You're dealing with privately owned properties, so you have more control over things. You're not going to have random bystanders. That's what they're looking for. If the funding is there and the tour is there already, I think it's just like a no-brainer a lot of times for these TDs. I think it takes some stress off their plate. You're also handed these blank slates of properties. You know, people have their opinion on golf course disc golf for a reason. Because it does give you the option to be lazy. It gives you the option to just say, well, hey, this hole is already designed for me and it's awesome. And sometimes that works out. Sometimes it makes a boring disc golf hole. But you are given this blank slate of like, just do whatever you want. So I see the allure. And I think that it's unfortunate in a way that this is the direction things are going, because we're going to lose a lot of iconic courses, and it kind of feels like it's tearing away from maybe the roots of disc golf, people would say. But I think it's a median point before we can have more privately owned disc golf facilities, because I think the tour will always favor those when they can, and I think that is the future. I don't think there's so many people out there with money right now making their own disc golf properties. That is a thing that people are doing right now. So I don't think we're that far away from that being closer to what we get to, and I hope the tour does decide to help them out and use those properties if they're good. But yeah, I think this is just kind of an inevitable middle ground that we're having to go to right now. And I think it's fine. Like, as long as they're being creative enough with the courses, you know, I guess if I was a Woods player, like specifically, I might be a little bit frustrated, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not a huge... I understand it, but I'm not a huge fan as someone sitting at home. I think as a fan on the ground, it's exciting because, like you said, if you look at the general admission tickets being sold for Waco, you essentially have access to this road that you can see the open holes. So you can see 1, 2, and 3, and then I believe it's like hole 12 on. So you can see the down the stretch. You know, it's exciting, but like the only way you're getting into those woods is if you bought a VIP pass that most likely is sold out, and they're decently expensive as well. So the allure of like being able to watch a lot more play is there, but I agree that it's a weird in-between point. It's like a growing pain of the sport.
The thing is, like, as a spectator, you know, and this is just kind of my perspective, I guess, a little bit, but like, I am much more concerned, like the sport, you need to cater to the players, but you also really need to, and that's another thing about golf courses, is the conditions on them are usually really good. So that's one more thing. But you got to cater to the players, but you also got to cater to the fans, because they're driving that sport forward. And I think the Pro Tour right now is really focused on making those in-person spectator events big, because ticket sales is huge, and it's something that disc golf hasn't really had a ton of. And so, you know, those spectators, they just want to see their favorite pro. You know, they're not going to be super pressed if it's out of this new golf course versus at the Brazos East course. They just want to go and see Paul Macbeth. They want to be able to stand right there behind him and watch him throw shots. Like, that's what they want to go and see. So yeah, I think that's just kind of where it's at. And yeah, I agree. You know, as somebody watching online now, certain courses, I will be happy if they're going out in the open, because they don't have cell reception.
That's fair.
So there's that. But also, yeah, I mean, it's a different era of disc golf being ushered in, a different style of course that I think is like really powerfully being ushered into the sport.
Well, no, here's a question: is currently, I think Waco, what like makes Waco the event is the course.
Yeah.
Moving it to a golf course.
Yeah. Vegas Part 2.
Why not move the tournament to Dallas or somewhere? Like, if we're losing Brazos Park East, why keep it in Waco?
Right. And you know, we kind of alluded to this before. Like, I think that like them going to Austin, they're showing that they are wanting to target bigger markets, which I think is smart. Now, I think Waco is close enough to Dallas.
It's like an hour and a half. Yes.
That the disc golf fans from Dallas are gonna go there. But you're right. I think that one thing that the golf course movement does allow disc golf to do as a positive is, now all they're focused on is geographic location. They're not really worried about where is this course at, because a golf course, they're everywhere, and there's going to be good properties everywhere. So now they can just say, this is where we want to target. So yeah, it wouldn't, you know, they probably have relationships with the people that run that event. It's been a successful event for years. I don't think they would just tear it away. But would it surprise me a ton if they decided to move that other Texas event to Dallas, so they would cover Austin and Dallas? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, all right, let's get back to talking about this upcoming weekend and not speculating about the future, but let's do it by throwing it over to Kenner Conity for an update on the weather we're about to see.
My name is Kenner Condi, and I know more about the weather than peanut butter knows about Tuna's fish. Let's get into the weather report for this week and the tournament. On Friday, it might rain, so you might get soaked or you might stay dry. We got a high of 69 and a low of 55. Moving over to Saturday, we're going to have a high of 80 and a low of 62. So pretty nice weather. Really low chances of rain. The wind gusts, though, get up to about 20 miles per hour. Ah! Getting over to Sunday, we're going to have a high of about 72 and a low of 45. Might shape up to be a pretty nice weekend. Back to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Kenner. It's always great to hear from you.
Professional.
Yeah, honestly. A professional's professional.
Yeah.
I hope the players watch the weather report here so they know exactly what they're going into.
Well, how much are they going to know what the weather is?
That's true. Yeah. That is true. If you don't have Kenner, what do you have?
Yeah.
So the start of the season here for Paige and Kristen on the FPO side, I think, is one of the big storylines going into it. Also, possibly the start of the season for Valerie Mandahano. We haven't heard much about that yet. We'll talk about that at a later point. But Paige and Kristen, we know they're planning to start their season here. What are you expecting out of them this weekend?
Yeah, really tough to say. I would expect rust out of both of them. I would certainly expect probably more out of Paige just because her game caters to be more aggressive. It tends to be more aggressive. So, you know, the rust gets amplified the more aggressive you try to play. I think Kristen's more of an aim small, miss small type player. But I expect that we will also, what we're probably going to see is be like, oh yeah, I forgot how good they were, probably type that situation. Like I'm sure they'll both be top 10. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if either of them won. But I think we'll see a little bit of rust. It might be a situation where they come out slow early and then kind of pick up steam as things go on. But Waco being an unpredictable event sometimes, you know, it wouldn't also shock me if that rust is amplified enough to the point where neither of them have good events. So I think it's a coin toss. But I don't know. I mean, Kristen's probably the bigger question mark coming off of the injury, the surgery, and that kind of situation. But I don't think missing one event at the beginning of the year is going to they're going to have so much more rust than the field does. I don't think there's not much to be said about that. So
yeah, I think this event suits Kristen's game a little better than Paige's.
Yeah.
In general, in the past, we've kind of seen Paige struggle at times with this event.
Yeah.
I think it alludes to what you were just talking about of like Kristen's more of put it in play, attack from there, and FPO, especially at Waco, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Versus going big, pushing it off the tee can get you.
That's Val's strength, and that's how she won last year.
And so, honestly, I think that Kristen has a little bit of pressure on her shoulders because of what she did last year.
Yeah.
Like, if she misses the podium right now, that's going to be the first time in like over a year that she missed the podium if she does that this weekend. So all eyes are going to be on both of them in general, just because this is their debut event.
Yeah.
Eyes are also going to be on Katrina Allen in the field mixed up with them.
Right.
But realistically, I think there's probably a little bit more pressure on Kristen coming in, but I also think that she's more suited for this course where she can handle that pressure a little bit better. They're both so talented, it wouldn't surprise me if either of them walked away with the win, but I'm leaning a little more towards Kristen doing good out here. Now, you briefly mentioned this tournament brews unusual results in general, FPO and MPO. Why do you think that is? I
don't know. Well, it's funny because if you look at last year, FPO wasn't crazy unusual. It was definitely more typical than the MPO. The MPO, I was looking at it, and you see Paul up there, Chris not too far down, but then like that top 15, there really wasn't any of the top, like Calvin and Rick were further down that list. You saw a lot of the guys, I mean, this was early in Gannon's season, but he didn't have a crazy great tournament either. And I don't really know the answer. It seems like a lot of these early events, like because it's the early events that do this, I almost have to just say, well, they're shaking off the rust. But honestly, I think Waco, it's just because of the potential for swings on that course. I think that's probably what does it somewhat. I think there is so many chances to take a blow up hole, really, and lose momentum. I also think the wind is a factor because like last year, especially final round, they dealt with quite a bit of wind. So I think that any course that encourages wind, you're going to get a little more random results, I think, because you're now seeing a whole different layer to the game. And we saw it certainly with DDO last year. You add wind to the event, you might as well scramble the scoreboard. So I think that's kind of what comes to mind. But yeah, Waco, I don't know. It has produced some interesting winners in the past. last year Paul won, and Paul won relatively convincingly in that final round. He wasn't challenged a ton. So yeah, it'll be curious to see if this year we get a more typical bunch. But then again, we've kind of gotten used to not seeing that as much anyways. As the last season went on, seeing more parity in the scoreboard. So I don't even know if that's something we really look for as much these days as we used to. Like, oh, where's our top 3 guys? Are they in the top 10? But I don't know. I'm just gonna have to pay extra attention this year to really see if there's something we're noticing. I think one thing though, and this is something we may get into later, but you had mentioned that there's not really one stat that separates you at this tournament. We kind of were looking through the stats and we couldn't find one that correlated. And I guess that's what that tells you, that you just need a balanced game. And I think maybe there's a lot of the top players that really are specialists in certain areas, and being really good at those certain things dominates at certain courses, whereas this one that doesn't really work out because of some of the other factors. So maybe that's it. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. The only thing I've been able to come up with thinking back, because again, I've had the opportunity to play this course, and thinking back, most of the holes I was able to score on. I did not have a good overall round, but it didn't require much to put yourself in position to score. Whereas I think some of the other Pro Tour courses I've played, and it's I don't have a chance to do what the top guys are doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a weird way, because it does have a lot of separation potential. It does have OB that comes into play. It does have that scrambling we're talking about in the woods earlier. There is the weather factor. There is a lot that can happen out there, but I think it's almost you don't need a lot of distance. You don't need a super great putt because you don't need a lot of distance to be attacking this course. And I think that once you kind of shave that edge off, it balances the playing field a little bit more, to where it almost gives this, I just thought of this, so I haven't thought through this take enough, so please poke a hole in it. But it almost gives birdie or die separation vibes on a hard course.
Yeah.
It's hard to really score low out there. Paul went 18 under years ago before the par change. You can still get 14, 15 under, but it's still hard to score really low out there.
Yeah.
But I think that some of the holes, it's almost easy to score on so many holes. Easy is relative, but it's easy to score on so many holes. I think that it can get kind of jumbled up, to where you can have the Luke Humphreys pop off. You can have the Ricky and Calvin's struggle. You can have the Paige Pierce's struggle, just because it's a demanding course in a different way than a lot. And the early season jitters and all of that can't be overlooked as well.
It had teeth last year. You had good pros, really good top pros finishing at 10 under or worse.
Yeah, it's a fascinating course.
Which is crazy. The winner came in at 23.
Yeah.
Paul, and that alone is not super crazy. And I think the wind played a big part in that. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But yeah. I
wonder too, because when you think of the top pros, you think of them aggressive.
Yeah.
The Calvins, the Pauls, the Rickies. Yeah. You think of them being aggressive. And Paige Pierce, we just talked about, she struggles. I wonder if this is a course that just favors that Kevin Jones conservative play, if you will.
Maybe it looks to the eye like it doesn't, but then it ended up does.
Because it looks Kristen on the FPO side, we've had Kona Panis win previously. We've had Colton Montgomery win previously. We've had Kristen Tatar play very well out there last year. Ended up losing, obviously, but Paige Pierce has in the past struggled, and Paige is known as the aggressive player. I wonder if that has something to do with it, of because there's the big swing holes, you almost just want to put yourself in position and play smart out there. And I wonder if the top guys get baited into being aggressive a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we even saw Paul, he bailed himself out a lot with several Paul level shots last year that some of the other guys just weren't ever required to throw because they weren't putting themselves in that risky position.
Yeah, that might be it.
I don't know. It's a very fascinating course. It's a very fascinating course. Now, Valerie Mandujano and Ricky Wysocki, as of the recording of this, are still kind of up in the air. It seems they're both intending to play.
Yeah.
But we don't know that officially. So obviously we have Valerie with her left ankle sprain in mid-January. We knew she was going to be missing some of the start of the season. It's kind of unclear as to
I guess left ankles
when that's coming.
Better than right ankle sprain.
I don't know, because you're pushing off on putting and you're pushing off drives.
You're pushing, but I feel like that lead one has so much stability.
I would agree.
All of your weight goes right onto it.
Yeah. And then Ricky obviously has the wrist flare up that knocked him out of Vegas. He's doing a lot of recovery.
One is like, what is that like? We know what an ankle sprain's like.
If you're in their shoes,
yeah,
and it seems like you're still kind of up in the air, are you coming back right now, or since it's early season, are you just saying I'm gonna chill for a little bit?
I think Ricky's is a bigger question mark because I don't even really know what's going on with his wrist. I don't know if he has complete control over that. You know, because like, has that even been diagnosed?
No.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen. So it seems like from the outside looking in, a Lyme flare up, because it seems like all that was reported really is he was unsure what happened. His wrist just kind of swelled up and lost mobility.
Yeah. It's like that one. That isn't, if it was like that kind of flare up, I don't feel like that's something you could make worse by playing on it. So if that was the case, then you just got to go on comfort, I guess. But that one I really can't answer to because there's so many question marks. But with Val, with an ankle sprain, you know, hers is a pretty severe ankle sprain that she wasn't able to walk on for a while. So I think that, you know, you definitely play it careful because, like, it's not the end of the world if Val were to miss one more event. You know? And if that's the difference maker of, like, getting that extra week, going from 85% to 100, you probably skip it. But if you know, it's an ankle sprain, you know, and if you're confident that it's just a little sore and you wear a brace or whatever, then yeah, it's not a scary injury. It's not nearly as scary as like a knee or an elbow or shoulder injury, especially to where like you're worried about your throwing and like the rest of the season. You know, an ankle sprain is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's definitely just going to be something to keep an eye on out there. All right, so let's get into some bold predictions presented by Third Wave Coffee. Third Wave Coffee is actually my brother's coffee shop, which we're very excited to be working with for this show all season long. They're committed to ethical and sustainable sourcing for all of their coffee, and they have 20 single origin coffees from all over the world in stock right now. Plus, they just released the brand new, sitting next to us, Bogey Bros Blend, which is actually tasted and approved by myself, Trevor, and Connor. We tasted several different options and landed on the one that, how I would like to put it, is it's a good intro into specialty coffee if you're not in that world, but it can still handle cream and stuff like that if that's more how you prefer your coffee. So it's just going to give you a good overall cup. Is how I'll put it. It's got that acidity. It's got that nice fruit-forward flavor if that's what you're into, kind of more my cup style. But if you want to put some sugar and cream in your coffee and just drink it like a normal cup, then it can handle that too. And so that's where we landed with it, is a good first step introduction into specialty coffee world. And plus, on top of that, you can, for our listeners, you can get 20% off your order with code DISCGOLF. One word, DISCGOLF. So head over to third-wave.coffee, pick up something, any type of coffee, but we'd really appreciate it if you pick up the Bogey Bro Blend today. You can check the link in the description down below for more information and to check out the blend. But let's do our little bold prediction here, Trevor. What do you got for us?
I'm going pretty bold. I've been going through some putting woes recently, and so I'm trying to speak just good putting vibes.
I like it.
Field. So my bold prediction is that Evelina Salonen is going to find her putt. She's going to
during this event.
She's going to find.
Wow, that is
she found it. You already found it. That's my prediction. She already found it.
She's going to show it during this event.
To some extent. Now let's not get crazy, but she
put a percentage on.
She was. I am. She
electric.
35% C1X is what she was putting at LVC. Woeful. My level. That's my level of putt.
That's bad.
That's what I would putt.
There's no way to sugarcoat that. That's bad.
I'm predicting that she hit the rock bottom, couldn't get any worse, and she figured something out. She's going to be 60% or better C1X.
Or better. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
Yeah.
My bold prediction, speaking to the uncertainty of Waco, is that this is going to be someone's first disc golf pro tour win of their career.
I love that.
Now, I think someone, either FPO or MPO, is walking away this weekend with their first pro tour win of their career. It could be Mr. Dark Horse himself. What Tentacles? Could be Tentacles.
Could be Tentacles, yeah.
Tentacles could just up his first win. And you know what? Speaking of winning, it's time for a little keys to victory action. From looking at the stats, I dug deep in the stats. I wanted to figure out what this course is asking you to do, and really, it's asking you to do everything. So you have to have a good overall weekend. It's not a course you can hide weaknesses on. It has a good mix of open and wooded holes that I think just provide a unique challenge to players. And being off the fairway in the woods, especially being, in the woods, you might as well be OB if you're off the fairway with how tight they are. Good thing to look at with this is Calvin Heimberg last year led the field, circle 2 in regulation. So he was giving himself a lot of opportunities, but he had a bad putting weekend. And on top of that, a 0% scramble rate. So he ended up losing by 11 to Paul, who just was solid in all the stats. He didn't lead the field in any stats from what I was looking at in UDisc, but still was able to dominate someone like Calvin, who led the field in circle 2 in regulation.
That might be why it's so balanced, is like there are some courses where it's like you have to be a good putter at this course. So all the people that are automatically disqualified. A lot of courses are, you have to throw really far. Where this course just kind of lets everybody in.
Yeah, maybe you just have to be solid at everything. I think that's why Paul's had success here too, is Paul is Mr. All Around.
Yeah.
Like Paul leads the field in some areas for sure, but like there is no area that you look at in Paul's game and you're like, he is the most dominant here.
Yeah.
Or he's like struggles here.
Right.
Like very solid forehand, really good distance, strong putter, good scramble game. Yeah. Whereas like if you look at like a Calvin, Ricky, like you can find like little specialties they have. But with Paul, like, you know, it just depends on the weekend on what his specialty is. And I think a player like that just is going to do well out at Waco. So you just got to be good.
I think course management too. I think his course management.
His decision making is big out there. Now we asked our Patreons, the Heiser Club members, if you're not a member of the Heiser Club, you can check it out at patreon.com/foundation disc golf if you want to get in on this action in addition to a ton of other benefits. You can check them all out over there.
Right?
There is a free trial, 30-day free trial for all tiers.
Yeah.
So even if you shop frequently on our site, you can get a 30-day free trial of that higher tier, get in on some discount action, actually save yourself some money while checking out if it's worth it for you going forward. But we asked them, who do we think is going to win? And so MPO, this is what their top 4 on MPO looked like. This is actually kind of a little fascinating to me. So 38% of the patrons said Paul Macbeth is going to take it down. 14% said Chris Dickerson. 10% said other, which I gave them 10 of the top 10 of my personal opinion, most likely wins. 10% of people said others, and then 8% said Calvin Heimberg are going to take it down. For FPO, not super shocking result here, to be completely honest with you. 62% of the patrons said Kristen Tatar will take this down. 12% came in with Valerie Mandujano, go back-to-back. 9% said Paige Pierce, and then we had 5% saying that Katrina Allen was going to take it down. So the big 4 for FPO is basically where it landed. But MPO, that other 10% sliding in there, there's a lot of people commenting different things as to what that other meant to them. But I thought it was very interesting. But Paul had a pretty dominant performance in the patron poll. So speaking of predictions, let's get into our own. Let's stop listening to the patrons and let's get into what we're talking about. And we're going to start it all off with a little buy, sell, hold segment presented by Disc Dynasty.
Yeah, so I want to tell you guys about Disc Dynasty. This is a fantasy disc golf app that we're partnering with. We're super excited. We've wanted to do this for a while. Disc Dynasty reached out and we're doing this cool partnership with them. This is a really cool platform. Just a few things about this. It's free to play, free to download Disc Dynasty. They have public leagues, private leagues. You can do season-long draft leagues that have playoffs where you're drafting players for the whole season, or you can do the weekly budget picks. That's my personal favorite. There's live scoring in the app, which means that you can watch things update live with the event as they're going on. And they also have their own rankings and projection system. So even if you don't know all the different players' names, they have all of that in there to help you out. What we like to play is the weekly mini matchups. That's what we love. So each week, basically, you're allowed 4 MPO players and 2 FPO players, and you're giving a budget of $24 disc dollars. And the players cost a certain amount based on their projections for that event. So for example, the highest priced players are at 7. If you want Paul Macbeth, you cost 7, whereas the lowest are at 1. You get 4 MPO, 2 FPO, 24, and you can set your lineups and then earn points. And you don't just earn points based on like 1 stroke, 1 point. There's bonuses for getting like eagles or missing the cut. You could get a penalty. So it goes back and forth. So make sure you check out this app, Disc Dynasty. This is kind of how this segment is going to relate, because we are going to basically be telling you buy, sell, and hold which players we think you should be inserting into your weekly mini matchups lineup. You can join with the link in the description. You can basically compete with us. You can play on alongside us. It's gonna be really cool, and it's really exciting to finally get on board with a fantasy disc golf app. Like, this is the future. The app it's considered its open beta stage right now, so it's still being worked on, but it is very much functional right now. We've been playing. We played last week already, and it's a great time. So buy, sell, and hold. This is our first suggestions for which players we think.
Yeah, and you can just download it straight in the App Store. We got to play a little bit last week as we were just kind of going through testing, and I'm undefeated right now.
Hunter did win. Yeah.
I'm hot right now. Let's just get into the segment knowing I'm hot right now. So my player that I suggest as a buy this week is none other than Emerson, the Emmer Daddy Keith. He's only $3 disc dollars on here. He has the game needed to score out there. I just think he just needs to put it together this weekend, one solid weekend, and I honestly think he could come out with the win here. Emerson Keith, my gut has been telling me I think you need to watch out for him, but I definitely think he's going to score well for fantasy. I think he's going to score well on the course. You also get bonuses based on like finishing plays, hot rounds. I think he has the potential for like a hot round bonus out there too, and he played solid at Vegas last week. You look back at last year, Luke Humphreys, solid at Vegas, solid at Waco. I think Emerson Keith is this year's Luke Humphreys possibly, and only $3 disc dollars. That gives you a lot of room in that top end budget to be working with.
Well, let me give you an even better option than you just mentioned, and that's Luke Humphreys at 2.
Oh, you're going for last year's.
So I'm buying. Well,
you think Luke Humphreys is this year's Luke Humphreys?
He did decent at Vegas, didn't he? So he's following the same pattern that you literally just sold for.
That's fair.
You literally just said, here's another player, and it costs $1 disc dollar less, which gives you that option to buy an even better player. And remember, that scale is from 1 to 7. So these 2 and 3s are value plays for sure. But Luke Humphreys at 2, I think that's a really good value for your lineup. He's in my lineup, and I'm expecting him to finish, top 10.
Oh, daggone.
Yeah.
Is that a Trevor Stop guarantee?
Nope.
Now we're moving into the sell segment. Personally, I think the player to stay away from this week, in my opinion, is Ricky Wysocki. $7 disc dollars, but there's a lot of uncertainty around his wrist. Is he going to be playing? If he does, because one thing with this app that I personally love is all the players are in there regardless of they're in the field.
Yeah, you got to do your research.
So you can really sneak some people because there might be an event, like someone might pick Drew Gibson this week. Drew Gibson's not playing until April.
Yeah.
So you could just be like throwing money away. Ricky, the potential issue and why I have him listed as a sell is, he could win easily. But that risk is an uncertainty. So he might play and play bad. Or he might just drop off and not play at all. So there's too much uncertainty. I think if Ricky was in your lineup last week, get him out of there this week.
I totally agree with that one. I've got myself for Kale LaVisca at 5. If you look at a lot of the other players at 5, there's just better value there. You've got the likes of Corey Ellis. I think Joel Freeman sits at 5. They've got Kale there because last year he did, I think, finish 5th at Waco. He had a good tournament. However, and I realized that I said that about Luke Humphreys, but I don't know, 5 is just a little expensive. Like I'm willing to make that analogy for a player like Luke Humphreys, who is only 2, but 5 is a premium price.
That is a premium player.
In this app.
I'm seeing, is Kale playing MP40 out there? That could be even another reason to sell.
Surely that doesn't count.
No, it wouldn't count towards it.
Yeah,
I'm saying that could be a better reason to sell.
Yeah, I would say that would be even more.
Because when you're saying it, no, he's playing the Pro Tour. He's playing the Pro Tour. Right, you're good.
I looked at it. Yeah.
Because when you're saying it,
he won MP40 at Memorial.
I kind of disagree. I really like Kale at this event. I think that it's a Prodigy sponsored event.
No, is at 5 there are much better plays at 5.
Possibly.
Like, do you like Corey Ellis and or Joel Freeman better than him at 5? If you really had to bet money on it.
I think Corey Ellis is in my lineup and Kale LaVisca's not. So I think I got to go with Corey Ellis.
I think he's just, there's a lot of good players that surround him. I think a Kale LaVisca at like 3 or 2 especially would be a very good pick. 5 is...
Here's actually a fascinating thing. We'll get into our hold. My hold player this week, if you had him in your lineup, keep him in your lineup, is Corey Ellis. I have him listed at only $4 disc dollars, so I don't know if his value shifts.
So that's even better though. If he's at 4, I'm saying the value is so good.
Because Corey Ellis, again, you got to be looking at Waco overall games. You need players that putt well, throw well, keep it in the fairway. Corey Ellis does all 3 of those. I think that he really is another player that could pop off and win out here. We saw him get close several times last year. Waco, Waco's Waco. And so I like Emerson Keith as a buy. I think Corey Ellis, I wouldn't quite put him to the buy category, but like if you are on the fence, you just need someone to fill in for that $4 disc dollar spot. I like Corey Ellis in that slot, or if you had him with Vegas, keep him in your lineup. Keep him rolling.
My hold here is Chris Clemens at 4. I think another balanced player, like Hunter mentioned. I think 4 is a correct value for him. I don't feel like it's a steal, but I think it's a good play. He's in my lineup at 4, kind of sitting there in the middle. He had played well at Waco last year. He's got some precedent. and I think he's a consistent player. Actually had a pretty good season last year. I think people sleep on Chris Clemens a little bit, so I like his game here.
All right, now let's get into our top 3
segment
and dark horse predictions. Thanks again to Disc Dynasty. We're going to be talking about them all year long, so get in early if you want to be joining alongside us. Point standings coming into the second event of the year. I was actually pretty hot last week, like I said.
We both,
and hot.
Considering like last year, we both had really good events for the first.
That is true.
To get that many points.
So I got 9 points on the board. Trevor got 8 points on the board coming into this week. Only change for this week before we get into our predictions is the dark horse now.
New criteria.
Now that Disc Dynasty's out, the dark horse criteria is a player at $3 disc dollars value or less.
Yes.
Is where the dark horse is going to land all season.
It opens it up a lot more. It's a lot better player.
It also makes it more volatile.
Yeah.
Because a player, it's kind of hard sometimes for a player to break in or out of the top 50.
Yeah.
A lot easier for them to go up or down in disc dollar value.
This is like we've kind of brought it to this level, I think, because now it gives that ever so slight potential that your dark horse player could win.
Yes.
Which would be, have we announced a point value for that? I think it's 5 points if your dark horse player wins.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it has to.
We have not decided, but we can agree with that right now.
It's been said.
There, it has been set. And all these points are double for majors when we get there.
That is
so that
true.
could be electric.
That could be huge.
If your dark horse wins a major, that'd be electric. All right, so MPO top 3, we're starting there. I'm going a little boring, to be completely honest with you, but I'm going Chris Dickerson in 3rd. He's played solid out here every year. I think he's going to do it again. Gannon Burr, 2nd place.
Mr. Burr.
Got a complete game. I like him out there. I think Paul McBeth's going to take it down again.
Yeah. I've got a similar route. I think when you have an event that's a little chaotic, you got to pick 3 good players, hoping that one ends up there.
Yeah.
I've got Gannon in 3rd, Calvin in 2nd, riding that momentum, and Paul in 1st. I think he looked good in Vegas. Won this last year. I'd be surprised to see Paul not challenge or win here.
I would agree. Now on the FPO side, I'm a little bit iffy on my picks, to be completely honest with you, but I like kind of where I landed. I'm going with Owen Scoggins.
I thought about
sneaking into 3rd here.
Memorial champ.
Memorial champ. She has a solid overall game.
I don't care about A tiers though.
I don't care about A tiers, but solid overall game. I think she could do well out here. Katrina Allen, I have coming in 2nd. This just seems like a cat course, to be honest with you. If her putt stays hot, then could work out very well. But I have Kristen Tatar taking it down.
Yeah, so we got one change. I have Kristen and Kat 1-2. But then I'm gonna throw Paige in 3rd. I'm just gonna throw her in there because she could be, she could win this thing. So I wanted to throw her in there. But Owen is a good pick. That'll be interesting to see. So a lot of separation on the board.
No, not a lot of separation. But this is where the separation is going to come in because I'm about to get 5 points in my dark horse pick. Mr. Emerson Keith takes it down.
I'm scared about Emerson Keith. I
don't know why my gut has been telling me.
I feel the same thing.
But I just like it. Emerson's going to end in 55th place.
I'm taking Brody Smith for my dark horse.
Okay.
It only costs 2. He's in my lineup on Disc Dynasty. He played pretty well in Vegas. I was happy with his game in Vegas. I'm going to kind of ride that wave until it jolts me off and throws me into a coral reef.
I like that.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah.
You're riding tentacles.
That's right.
Riding tentacles so he throws you throws you into a coral reef. Well, there it is. That's the preview show to get you ready for Waco, presented by Prodigy. I'm assuming still stands for Waco Annual Charity Open, but just Waco.
So
Prodigy just presents Waco.
It's just they present the state.
They present the town of Waco.
The state, the town.
The state, the town. They state the town of Waco. If you want to check out the coverage, be sure to subscribe to the Disc Golf Network. I believe the first round will be free tomorrow, and then you'll obviously have the Disc Golf Network to watch the live coverage the rest of the weekend. Also post-produced on all your normal channels, FPO and MPO on Jomez, a little gatekeeper action. And I think the skins match is going down too over on GK Pro. So lots of ways to enjoy and consume Waco, and we'll be back for the next event of the season.
Keep slinging them discs.